Hello and welcome to Phoenix TV. It's great to have you here. Let me begin by asking you, how important is your presence in the room? In a world where toxic hustle culture tells us to do more, push harder, and constantly prove our worth, presence becomes one of the most radical acts of leadership. Today, I want to talk about something powerful: your presence in the room. Not the noise, not the grind, not the endless list of achievements, but you, the energy and intention you carry when you walk in. Hi, I'm your host, Corinne Brown, Leadership Results Coach. In today's episode, I'd like to explore the weight of hustle culture. Toxic hustle culture has a way of erasing our humanity. We show up physically, but we're absent emotionally. We're there, but not really present. The truth is, presence is not about how busy you look or how much you achieve. It's about connection, awareness, and influence. Presence changes the atmosphere long before your words do. Let's reflect for a moment and think about when we do not show up present in the room. When we fail to bring presence into a room, something subtle but significant happens. The room feels it. People might not be able to name it, but they sense the absence. Instead of connection, there's distance. Instead of trust, there's doubt. And instead of clarity, there's noise. When we're physically in the room but mentally elsewhere, caught in our phones, buried in overthinking, or replaying yesterday's worries, we unintentionally send the message: this moment doesn't matter. You don't matter. I'm not really here. That undermines relationships before a single word is spoken. Lack of presence also impacts how we are perceived as leaders. We may be seen as distracted, disconnected, or even dismissive. Opportunities to influence, inspire, or lead meaningfully can slip through because our energy isn't aligned with our intention. And perhaps most importantly, it impacts us. When we don't show up fully present, we miss the chance to create, to learn, to lead, and to shape the atmosphere of the room. We become reactors instead of shapers, caught in the current instead of setting the course. Presence is power. Absence is loss. Loss of trust, loss of influence, and loss of possibility. So you might well ask, what is the power of presence? Think about the last time you were in a room with someone who radiated calm confidence. They didn't need to shout, they didn't need to rush, and yet they held the room. That's presence. Presence is an antidote to the constant grind. It says, I'm here, I'm grounded, and I'm enough. Here's a self-reflection prompt to consider. Ask yourself, when I walk into a room, what follows me? Is it stress? Is it overwhelm? Is it distraction? Or is it calm, clarity, and intention? Presence is a choice. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aligned. Let me share my quick 5-step fire toolkit, cultivating presence. Number 1, pause before you enter. Take one grounding breath before walking into any space. Number 2, lead with eye contact. Look up, connect, and acknowledge people as human beings first. Number 3, check your energy. Ask, what am I bringing into this room today? Number 4, listen more than you speak. Presence is often felt in silence. And number 5, set your intention. Decide how you want people to feel after being in your presence. Here's my storytelling moment. I remember walking into a leadership meeting where everyone was already tense. Instead of matching that tension, I grounded myself. I slowed my breath, listened deeply, and chose not to compete with the noise. By the end, people said, "You calmed the room." That's when I learned you don't have to out-hustle toxic culture. You can out-presence it. Your presence is your power, not your endless productivity, not your ability to grind. The gift you bring is you, fully present, grounded, and aligned. When you step into a room that way, you're not just breaking the ceiling of toxic hustle culture, you're building a new standard for how leadership feels. Presence is more than just showing up. It's a frequency, a magnetic force that radiates beyond words. When someone is truly present, they don't just occupy space, they transform it. Presence is a vibe because it's felt before it's seen. It draws people in, holds attention, and shifts the energy of a room without effort. It's intoxicating because it awakens something within others: curiosity, admiration, inspiration. People lean closer not because of what's being said, but because of the authenticity and alignment they sense in that moment. True presence disarms pretenses and invites honesty. It's invigorating because it carries energy that uplifts and ignites. To be fully present is to live awake, eyes open, heart open, mind engaged. This energy fuels connection, creativity, and courage, sparking possibilities that often remain dormant in distraction. And it's empowering because presence reminds us of our own agency, our ability to command space simply by being aligned with ourselves. It strips away the need for validation and external noise, showing that the most powerful thing you can bring into any room is you. Presence is not about perfection or performance. It's about wholeness. When you choose to show up grounded, intentional, and alive in the moment, you become unforgettable. Presence is the essence of influence, leadership, and authentic power. Presence is a vibe because it's the silent language of impact, intoxicating, invigorating, and empowering all at once. Have you ever noticed how some people don't even have to say a word, yet when they walk into a room, everything shifts? That's presence, and presence is a vibe. It's intoxicating because when someone is fully here, mind, body, and spirit, you feel it. Their energy speaks louder than words. It draws you in, makes you want to listen, makes you want to rise. It's invigorating because presence breathes life into the room. It sparks curiosity, creativity, and courage. When you're present, you're awake to possibilities and others can feel it. And it's empowering because present doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't chase approval. It commands space simply by being. When you show up aligned, grounded, and authentic, you don't just influence the room, you transform it. So here's the truth. Presence isn't about perfection. It's not about performing. It's not about wholeness. It's about choosing to be fully alive in the moment and letting your energy do the talking. Here's how to find your presence to shine. Presence isn't something you put on like a mask. It's something you uncover. It's already within you, waiting to be seen, heard, and felt. To find your presence, first slow down. Breathe. Notice the moment you're in instead of racing to the next one. Presence begins with awareness. Second, own your space. Not by being the loudest voice in the room, but by standing grounded, rooted in who you are. When you know your worth, you don't need to fight it, you radiate it. Third, align your energy. Presence shines when your words, your actions, and your heart all speak the same language. That's when people lean in because they feel your truth. And finally, practice showing up as you. Not the version you think people want, but the real you, authentic, imperfect, and powerful. When you choose to show up fully, your presence becomes a beacon. It's what makes you magnetic, memorable, and unshakable. The presence of leadership in a room is not about who talks the most or who holds the highest title. It's a force you feel. It's calm, steady, and undeniable. When true leadership walks in, people sit a little taller. They feel seen, heard, and valued, even before a word is spoken. That's because leadership presence is built on confidence without arrogance, authority without intimidation, and influence without control. It's the way a leader listens deeply, not just to respond, but to understand. It's the way they ground a room in clarity when chaos tries to take over. It's how they inspire trust by being authentic, approachable, and human. The presence of leadership empowers others to rise, to speak, to contribute. It creates an atmosphere where possibility replaces fear and collaboration replaces competition. True leadership presence doesn't dominate, it elevates. It's not about taking up space, but about creating space for others to step into their best selves. That's what it's like when leadership is in the room. The air changes, the energy lifts, and people leave better than they arrived. I'll never forget the day I saw true leadership presence at work. The room was tense. People were frustrated, talking over each other, energy scattered everywhere. And then the door opened, the leader walked in. They didn't raise their voice, they didn't demand attention, but instantly the room shifted, conversations paused, shoulders relaxed, and it was as if everybody exhaled at the same time. Why? Because presence speaks louder than words. This leader didn't need to prove anything. Their confidence was steady, not loud. Their calm was contagious. And when they finally did speak, every word landed. Clear, measured, intentional. People listened, not out of fear, but out of respect. That's the presence of leadership in the room. It's not about commanding, it's about anchoring. It's the ability to ground chaos, to invite clarity, and to elevate everyone around you. And here's the truth. You don't need a title or a corner office to carry that kind of presence. Leadership presence comes from within. Confidence in who you are, clarity in what you stand for, and courage to show up authentically. When you walk into a room with that energy, you don't just take up space, you transform it. Now let's pause for a moment and reflect. When you walk into a room, what shifts? Do you bring calm or do you bring chaos? Do people feel safe to speak up or do they hold back? Do you elevate the space or simply take up space? Leadership presence isn't about being the loudest. It's about being intentional. It's about choosing the energy you bring, the tone you set, and the impact you leave behind. So ask yourself, how do I want people to feel when I show up? Because that's the presence they'll remember. So remember, finding your presence isn't about becoming someone else. It's about coming home to yourself, and that's when you shine. The most powerful thing you can bring into any room is you. The room changes when you decide to show up as your true self. So until next time, remember to walk into every room with intention, to ground yourself in who you are, and to let your presence speak louder than words. Because your presence is your power, and when you own it, you don't just show up, you shine. Thanks for your company today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. I'm Corinne Brown. Catch you on the flip side.